Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever time it is, wherever it is that you are. Welcome once more to another video podcast of Political News Time, coming at you from the PNTLIVE network. And remember, if you would like to check out archives of this podcast and quite a few others, all you have to do is pop on over to pntlive.net. I am your hostess, Alex Mayers, and I'm just over here setting up my little chat window. If you have something that you would like to contribute in a constructive way, just feel free to post your comment in the Periscope chat. And if I see it, I will gladly address your comment or question. Now, tonight we're going to talk about a fairly sensitive topic. It's something I've talked about in the past, but I just feel like revisiting it tonight, considering last night's podcast that revolved around the issue of narcissistic mothers, at least in part. I was talking about the Virginia Giuffre, Jeffrey Epstein filings and testimony. And I was talking about just how atrocious of a mother it seemed that she had, at least according to her testimony. And I think that she was quite honest and revealing in her testimony, actually. But the podcast last night, it made me revisit some thoughts that I've had that I've been just meaning to share again in regards to some women in the adult entertainment industry who I feel either are not thinking or who are mentally ill and likely should be committed to an institution due to their thoughtless actions and behavior when it comes to the well-being and just overall psychological welfare, health, and even the safety of their children. And I'm talking specifically about adult entertainers who have children in their custody, mainly mothers. There's a few fathers who I could put in the group. Who's one that I can think of? A guy known as Mr. Pete, for example. But I've thought for a while that adult entertainers should not be able to have children, meaning minors, in their care or in their custody while they're active in the adult entertainment industry. And there's a plethora of reasons as to why. For one thing, of course, children should not be subjected to the themes that revolve around the adult entertainment industry, such as prostitution, sexual health issues, sex in general, but most importantly, due to the potential of the child coming into contact with a child predator, a pedophile, or even an ephebophile, if that minor age child is a teen. But it was actually a tweet that was posted by an account known as Performers Unite, an account run by a woman who I briefly got to know, known as Melissa Hill, who posted something very insightful the other day. I'm not going to read the exact, I will. I'm going to read the exact tweet because she brought up a good point. And the point had to do with a retired performer known as Tracy Lords being celebrated, even though when she was active in the industry, she was a minor. And that made me think, and it made me think to myself, you know what? All this time, there have always been parties within the adult entertainment industry who are for pedophilia, who are for child abuse. Nobody wants to openly say so, but it's true. That's why you got individuals like Jason Quinlan posting tweets saying, hey, I got a cure for anybody who believes that being a pedophile is a quote unquote sexual orientation. And then he posted a box of bullets because he's right. And someone like him who has been in the trenches, the lowest levels of the adult entertainment industry, he's actually the one who outed Charlie Sheen and what was going on with him and HIV and the porn stars who were working double time as escorts that he was seeing. Jason Quinlan knows what he's talking about. And I have a feeling that Melissa Hill knows a bit more of what she's talking about than she's let on. But yeah, let me bring up that tweet. All right, she tweeted, I still think it odd that an underage porn star is celebrated, but I guess it's part of porn history. No, it's not odd, Melissa. It's just a glimpse into the predators that make up a certain portion, not a large portion, but a notable portion within the adult entertainment industry, which leads me to my point as to why I believe it should be illegal for an individual to have a child in their custody if they are active in the adult entertainment industry. Now, the first time I spoke about this, I received a lot of pushback. What I'm going to discuss very quickly is something that I would appreciate many more of you getting on my team in regards to. I take the stance that it should be illegal for any parent to have in their custody a minor when they are an active professional within the adult entertainment industry. Why? I know a lot of you out there are going to be like, oh, you're so mean, Alexandra. You shouldn't say that because there's a lot of single moms who are in the adult entertainment industry. Yes, there are. And though I'm sure some of them are very good with their children, the problem is that there's too great of a risk for their children to be exposed to what their parents do for a living, but more importantly, there's too great of a risk for someone to enter that child's life who deems it perfectly okay and acceptable to act inappropriately with minors, if not abuse criminally a minor. And I expect to receive pushback in regards to my thoughts on this matter until the day I die, because you have certain women in the industry who are incredibly selfish, emotionally stunted, self-serving, thoughtless individuals who basically view their children as designer handbags, an accessory, rather than a living, breathing, thinking, feeling human being who one day will look at their mother and say to them, thanks for subjecting me to danger, Mom, and thank you for ruining my sense of self. That's what certain women are going to deal with one day, considering their thoughtless choice of being active performers in the industry while having children in their care. It's a gross situation. It's a situation I've seen such women weaponize, and I'm gonna name a few of the women who I feel are setting horrific examples, not just to their children, in one person's case, grandchildren, but to other women in the industry who may be mothers who are walking the incorrect path too. I'm talking about a woman known as Alana Evans, who consistently over the years has not only selfishly flaunted her motherhood, irresponsibly so even, but who has utilized her motherhood as a shield in effort to shield herself from danger. She's never thought to herself, most likely, gosh, I wonder what my kid's friends are going to think about him, knowing that his mother is one of the worst types of adult performers that there is. Gosh, I wonder what my son's sense of self is going to become, being that I constantly throw in the face of everyone that I should receive special treatment because I'm the mother of a multiracial child, and I'm talking about a white woman doing what I'm relating to all of you today. It's just sick. I'm also talking about a woman known as Cinnamon Love, who hasn't just essentially obliterated her children's reputations due to her own selfish choices in choosing to disclose to the world that she's a mother while working in the adult industry, but she's gone as far as to also obliterate her grandchildren's reputations. And both of these women who I've named, Alana Evans and Cinnamon Love, have incredibly domineering personalities. So even if their children likely wanted to say, hey, can you please leave me out of your cycle of dysfunction? Their children will probably be afraid to say a peep to them for fear of their mother's wraths. That's the truth. I believe both of the women that I've named are incredibly severe cases of NPD, narcissistic personality disorder. I think that if both women that I've named had individuals in their life who cared about them, they probably would have been institutionalized years ago. But we live in a society to where such women are often throwaways by their own families, which is why they never receive the help that they most likely incredibly desperately need. But my point is, being that women such as what I've named are incapable of making responsible decisions when it comes to the minors, which never should have been in their care to begin with, that's why I feel that there should be legislation passed to where the children, by law, are shielded from such individuals. I think it's time for such legislation to be passed. Oftentimes, women in such situations purposely keep their children from the sane family members of the paternal party. That's something that needs to change. Greatly so. Greatly so. I think that our court system favors mothers a little bit too heavily. Now, of course, I'm not a mother saying this, but it's how I feel, and it's just a few things that I've observed over the years. As of late, actually, there's a woman who seems to quite readily talk about what I would assume to be a teenage minor on her social media who was just elected to an office of APAC, a woman known as Lasha Lane, who I think is not thinking clearly when it comes to exposing her child's identity to the masses of perverts and potential predators out there who may follow her on social media. I actually saw a tweet by Candace Owens the other day, and I'm not going to share my thoughts on this tweet, not in this particular podcast, so I'm just going to read it to y'all. What do the trans movement, modern feminism, and Black Lives Matter have in common? They all seek to destroy family by reducing the role of men in our society. That really did make me think, especially about the first person who I named in this podcast tonight, Alana Evans. Because one of the first things that seemed to be on her agenda upon becoming a vice president of the now defunct Adult Industry Performers Union was to eliminate male presence from leadership of that now defunct union. And I think that was a huge mistake. Because when you put side by side the individual who was the initial president of that union, a man known as Shawn Michaels, an African-American male, when you put him next to the basket case and the train wreck that the woman known as Alana Evans is, it's like night and day. Figuratively and literally. There's no reason that the woman known as Alana Evans should be heading anything, because the truth is that I don't think that she's capable of telling the truth, especially when it comes to that Donald Trump situation, which in time we're all going to learn the truth about. She was never invited to party with them. Get real. But I just really want to touch on why it's such an atrocity that it is legal for adult performers and adult industry professionals in general who are active to have children in their care. I think you need to make a choice in life when you decide to be an adult industry professional. There's other professions that I feel the same about when it comes to this issue. But I think you need to make a choice between that profession or parenthood. One of the two. Because if you truly want to be a parent, you're going to put all your time and energy into the well-being, safety, and proper rearing of the child that you gave birth to, or that's in your care for whatever reason. If you truly love a child, that's what you're going to do. You're not going to put yourself in a situation to where some psycho pimp is going to pretend to be into you, but then when you go to sleep, molest your child. You're not going to do that. You're not going to expose your child's identity, which would lead to nothing but them being embarrassed of you, embarrassed of themselves, having a, ill sense of self-worth. You're not going to expose their presence and who they are on social media just so you can make a buck. You're not going to use them as a financial draw. Who was it who was doing that in the industry? Shauna Lene. These women, if they want to be adult entertainers, yay, more power to them. But don't ruin lives of minors just because of your own vanity, narcissism, sociopathy, psychopathy, and whatever other dysfunction it is that you embody. Okay, that's my point for tonight's political news time. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm even to the point, just knowing what I know about how the world works, of thinking that certain types of politicians should not be parents. Because I think you need to make a choice. Because look, there's a very thin line between being a politician and a porn star, especially nowadays. I'd actually go as far as to say that there are certain porn stars who are far more influential than their political counterparts, which is why you shouldn't be surprised if in the very near future there are some retired porn stars that you see running for office and winning. Yes, we're not too far from that becoming a reality, which is frightening, yet enlightening.